Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
Webster's Dictionary defines a hero as a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, and one who shows great courage.
Today on Spotlight, we honor Veterans Day. Meet a man who served in the U.S. Army's all-black 351st Artillery Unit, plus using creative writing to help with traumatic experiences. And then a music festival benefiting veterans. But first, gone but not forgotten, honoring the sacrifice of those who served our country. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
When you walk here and once they put the dog tags up, what you hear is tinkle, 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 tinkle. It's haunting.
Putting up 7,582 flags for all the military that were killed after 9/11. You say 7,000 and you can't comprehend that number until you walk through the flags and realize every one of those is a man or a woman who died, left the family. It's just incomprehensible how many people, nobody can grasp that until they walk through these flags and realize that those were all people that had a future and decided to volunteer for the military service and protect this country. We have 500 volunteers that were part of putting the flags together. We did that on weekends all through the middle of June, all through the end of July. And so those same volunteers now are back here to put the flags up, and they will also be back here to take the flags down.
And the numbers and the dog tags are the most important part. The flags, straight up and down. It's about perfection, not about speed. Think of it this way, that if you're the family member of someone that's fallen, you come to the hill, your flag doesn't look like the rest, you'll feel a little bit slight. So let's make sure that we have them all perfect. Make sure that the flags are set up at the top, that they're straight and tight. Everything else is perfect. If it's not perfect, take it down and do it again.
Working with U.S. Special Forces in 2002 and been work all through those 16 difficult and hard years until September 2018. I'm helping people put the flags for those who lost their lives in Afghanistan. This is for me like I'm picking up my that parent brother who lost their life. Then when I take this flag here, that means I'm hugging my brothers.
So she was the chief foreign disclosure officer sharing information with the Afghan military intelligence. And she was killed on May 20th, 2009 on her way to an intelligence sharing mission on the road between Kabul and Bagram.
She passed in 2006 in Iraq. 2 years before I was born, so I never got to personally meet her, but I've been able to hear stories, and everyone in my family says I look like her, so I often get called Amanda. I share the same middle name with her. I think it's an honor to be able to look at all these flags, because you look at these flags and you're able to know that the people here today, they have lost a loved one, and they're able to stand here and they're able to honor their memory, placing these flags out for all of these brave individuals who risk their lives trying to save our country and keep it the place that it is today, that we have our freedom.
My son was Specialist Jackson Johnson. He was killed in Kuwait March 5th, 2019. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to do something to make the world better. It's a mixed emotions of heartwarming, of heartbreak, of honor, respect. It's just a mixed emotions, just as a Ghost Star mom, looking at every flag that is honoring every fallen soldier from 2001 till now.
Yeah, this means a lot to me. This reminds my fallen brothers, which we lost in the war in Afghanistan. And that means they will never forget, and no one will forget them. And they're always in our heart. Their place is here.
But there's so many more people that have risked their lives to keep this country the way it is, and the people should be grateful and they should honor those people's memories.
I want them to think of their freedom and what that means to them, and not just remember every fallen soldier, but remember all the military that's still out there fighting for their freedom and giving their all to protect each and every one of us around the world. It's not just about the fallen soldiers, it's about the ones enlisted and left behind to battle as well. But we just ask that people say their names. Remember them. Don't let their memory or their existence die away.
Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
The year was 1919. Woodrow Wilson was president. A stamp was 3 cents. A loaf of bread cost you 9 cents. And on January 18th of that year, Adolphus Thaddeus Watson was born in Clarendon, Arkansas, into a society where African Americans were marginalized by segregation. Watson was raised by his aunt, Fanny Trent, a proud woman born into slavery. Did she remember when she became free?
Yeah, she remember when they said they were free, but it didn't mean too much. And she couldn't read or write. So my job was to learn to read and write as quick as I could, and that's what I did.
As a young man, Watson became part of the Great Migration as he joined millions of other blacks headed north for a chance at a better life. He settled in St. Louis in 1942 with his wife and children. The trajectory of Watson's life was forever changed with the world at war. In 1944, Watson, by now the father of 3, was drafted into the United States Army. America's military was not exempt from the world of Jim Crow.
In World War II, the United States had 2 armies, a black army and a white army. You understand that?
In 1944, Private First Class Watson and the members of the all-black 351st Artillery Unit boarded the Queen Elizabeth, headed for the United Kingdom. Upon arrival, the man raised by a former slave experienced something he had never known: freedom.
Scotland wasn't segregated at all. I tell you what, you felt good about it. because we had never saw these things happen.
Winter 1944 was fast approaching, and the future of mankind hung in the balance. As the Allies prepared to fight what would prove to be the decisive battles in World War II, black soldiers faced the unthinkable. As if the Waffen-SS and Luftwaffe weren't enough to worry about, African Americans had to deal with even more hostility from their own countrymen.
The white soldiers hated us so bad.
American soldiers.
Yeah, American soldiers.
How did they treat you?
We fought.
Physically?
Yeah.
But Watson and countless other African Americans answered the call to duty, and in late 1944, the 351st found themselves in the Ardennes forest in northeast France. The Battle of the Bulge was fought in brutal conditions as the Germans launched their last blitzkrieg, a surprise attack that inflicted severe losses on the Allies. "75 years later, a man who was there, a man who fought bravely under the American flag, still has difficulty talking about the experience.
It's just like a nightmare. You ever had a nightmare and you wake up that morning and you didn't believe it happened?
The 351st more than held their own as the Allies beat back the Germans. Private First Class Watson earned 2 Bronze Stars for his service. The hero's welcome for America's troops only told part of the story. As he headed home, Watson asked a friend if the war would change white America's view on segregation. The answer was sobering.
They're gonna feel like they owe you something, and they ain't gonna want to give it to you.
Indeed, it would be another 20 years before President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act.
This Civil Rights Act is a challenge to all of us to go to work in our communities and our states, in our homes and in our hearts, to eliminate the last vestiges of injustice.
But segregation did not stop Watson from working in construction for 31 years while raising 6 children with his wife, Lurleen. The priority in the Watson household was clear. Progress was to be measured in knowledge.
All of my kids got college education. Everything I did was worth it.
Webster's dictionary defines a hero as a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, and one who shows great courage. A black man born 100 years ago, raised by a former slave who fought for his country and paved the way for an entire generation to lead a better life, certainly qualifies.
You have to be patient with each other, love each other, try to understand each other.
Many who know the story of Adolphus Thaddeus Watson approach him to only say 2 words: thank you.
I want to thank them for remembering and caring, because I appreciate it.
Go to hecmedia.org for the arts and authors,
Completely accidental because I never set out to write a book.
science and history, culture and community,
It's considered to be the oldest organic farm west of the Mississippi.
education, films,
Finding the coin places the site firmly in the 13th century.
what's happening now around St. Louis, and more. See for yourself at hecmedia.org.
It's all right, it's all right, it's all right, it's okay. This cadence echoed through my mind as I lay with the right side of my face flattened to the hot sand.
Every veteran has a story to tell.
There are themes that make the world go round. Love, life, death are all concepts humans can never escape, nor would we want to. They are the reasons we exist. They are the reasons we tell stories.
To help veterans and their families tell their stories, the Missouri Humanities provides veteran writing workshops and publishes an annual creative writing anthology, Proud to Be, Writing by American Warriors. The anthology is available for purchase, with 100% of the proceeds going to veterans programs.
These stories provide invaluable insight into the lives and experiences of our veterans. They provide us with history and understanding and connectivity.
For my family, it's allowed them to share that experience. It's my words, but then again, it's not really me talking about it. So, it's kind of like my own personal shield.
For our veterans to get up in front of a mixed audience of both military and civilians is a very brave act. I do also think that it can be a very emotional process, both for the reader and for the audience.
My particular story in the anthology is about a typical day for me as a medic in the Air Force. The next patient arrived. He was an African-American soldier, like me, only unlucky, who stepped on a landmine, blowing off both of his arms and legs. He was conscious when he arrived to the ward and assigned to me. Suddenly, I could not hear his heartbeat through my stethoscope. The surgeon on call was contacted immediately and initiated CPR. 15 minutes later, the doctor pronounced him dead. I was highly upset and asked why we had stopped the CPR procedure. I will never forget what the surgeon said. Wesley, what type of life would he have had if he had lived?
It does help heal. I'm not immune to some of those feelings that a lot of veterans have when they come back. And I can't say I'm any better, but, it helps. It kind of helps to deal with that, getting it out, talking about it.
One of my duties as a public affairs officer was to serve on a CACO team. So that's a Casualty Assistance Calls Officer. Those are the individuals who work with a widow. What I wrote about were my experiences and my observations of the widow and of the process that we went through to help her through that period of grief. And also, it's how I'm dealing with it even after 15 years. There's still haunting memories that I have. I'm using the writing as part of an opportunity to kind of control those memories. I'm in the present, in front of my bathroom mirror, brushing my teeth. Yet another time I've lost myself when memories of 15 years ago slip into my simple task. No trigger, no control.
Being able to hear and share personal stories is healing in so many ways.
My father is a Vietnam veteran, and because of the work that I am doing now with our military personnel and sharing these stories, it's provided me with an opportunity to create that dialogue between me and my father. And so he is 71 years old and is just now opening up about his military experience.
It's been very humbling. It's been kind of a tremendous honor, and it's a legacy.
To learn more about Proud to Be, visit mohumanities.org. America the Beautiful, later on Spotlight.
Standing here with a ton of people out there ready to rock, ready to party. And I always say this, we get to be here to honor our veterans. I'm a son of a veteran. I come from a family of all veterans. I love it.
Songs for Soldiers, it's simple. We help combat veterans. We're kind of two entities. We're a benefit concert, and we're also a charity that does work all year. And they're both doing this. They're both growing at the same time. we need to keep having a bigger show to raise more money because more veterans are coming to us year in and year out, which is awesome.
And may the good Lord forgive us for the party we're about to have in this park here today.
Whether you even support war or don't, we're here because war happens and extremely normal people are the ones that have to fight them. We're here to help those people. And I'm a veteran, so I know how to help veterans.
My southern my southern drawl.
When I was a junior in high school, I started feeling this pull to join the military. So I joined in June 2001, and my senior year, September 11th, 2001, I was sitting in government class and watching the second plane hit the building. So there I go. In our job, instead of driving fuel trucks, they trained us to escort fuel vehicles, and that's what we did in Iraq. And we lost 2 guys. I was in a convoy attack that was like the worst attack on a supply convoy in the history of the war. Our truck was the only truck out of the 26 vehicle convoy where neither one of us were dead or wounded. And that was kind of like my little bit of a battle, I guess, that I fought. Like, I struggled with that. When I got home, I also was still just completely blinded because I came home to this beautiful town. I didn't have a parade, but what I'm saying is everybody was really nice. Buy me a round of golf, buy me a drink, and I was just turned off from what was going on after that. Over there, kind of, and then with guys that I'd served with. And a few years passed after we'd been home, and my buddy Brian called me and said, hey, Ricky killed himself. I was like, man. And that was kind of the thing that made me wake up a little bit. I'm a musician, and I just really wanted to figure out my blessings and channel them into something to help fellow combat veterans out. And 2013, and I was out mowing the city park here in town for the city, and I looked over at this baseball field and I was like, boom, Songs for Soldiers. Yeah, let's do a concert called Songs for Soldiers. The original goal was to help 4 combat veterans a year, as you see in our name, Songs for Soldiers. Here we are, our 5th show, and we've spent over $350,000 on over 240 combat veterans. We've helped several veterans with dentures because unless it's service connected, the VA doesn't cover dentures. So many car repairs, that utility bill, that medical bill. We even helped a veteran start his own small business. We helped Frank, World War II veteran in Decatur. We gave him a wheelchair ramp so he can go outside. We helped John, and he found an alternative therapy in making art.
I'm an Air Force veteran. I served in the United States Air Force for 14 years. I struggle with PTSD. My vet center counselor, he had told me that there was an organization that can go ahead and actually help veterans. I had made contact with Songs for Soldiers, and from there, Dustin Rowe, he had provided me a potter's wheel. This is my first piece that I ever made. I never knew that I had an outlet of art in my life. It's something that I'll go ahead and continue with for the rest of my life. So I really appreciate it.
I think we've created something that everybody feels like they have their small piece in. We're all volunteer in this organization. And we basically start planning each year's show about a week after that last year's show.
I saw the passion he had in his eyes, and I was like, I'm in, I want to help, whatever I can do. So I started on the committee from the very beginning.
If you come to the show, you're going to see a very affordable show, comfortable show. So we keep ticket prices low. We have $5 beers. A kid can get a wristband for $10 to play all day. Bring your lawn chair, sit with your neighbors, sit next to somebody you don't know. And so at the same time, the uniqueness about it is even though it's a small town show, we bring a big time production. So I go out and I feverishly get tons of sponsorship money to cover such a thing. And the sponsors basically have this whole thing paid for. And so 100% of the proceeds that we raise goes to helping combat veterans after this. There is a special feeling about concerts in general. And ours is just magnified because our concert creates a year's worth of work. It's not just over when it's over, it's when it starts. Start all over again. It's just beautiful.
To learn more about Songs for Soldiers, visit songsforsoldiersstl.org.
HEC Media. Recognized. celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
In partnership with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, here's Songs of America.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by humanities. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Visit slso.org to see more from the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Next week, Behind the Art of Sound Mixing. Plus, an exhibit called Stretch Marks that explores motherhood. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.